porn versus rom-coms, fantasy books, or smut? Is there a difference? Two things. Number one, you and your partner have to agree to certain things in the relationship. That should be verbally being communicated. If the man comes to the woman and says, hey, I'm not looking at porn and these fantasy books kind of are bothering me, have a discussion about it. Smut and porn are slightly similar in that you're both escaping into fantasy worlds and not connecting. However, porn is absolutely more vulgar and abusive in the bedroom, and it's all about performance, not about fulfilling the needs of your partner, not connecting. And smut doesn't do that. Smut's not abusing the man. Smut is a woman desiring a man to pursue her, and porn believes that a woman wants all this abusive stuff done to her and that she's pursuing him to want it, for him to gratify that for her. I personally really hated 50 Shades of Grey. I never read it and I never watched the movie. I did read some blog posts on it, and I was able to basically have the summary of the story. I really disliked 50 Shades of Grey because I thought that that was basically a grooming process for women to look at porn as being something romantic and fulfilling, when a lot of us who are experiencing that from our partner know that that's not the case. I don't know how to describe this. And some women say it's not true. I have a very hard time believing that it's not true. When men have intercourse, I don't know how, but somehow they're able to just kind of flip this light switch off and not connect emotionally with their partner. Men, if you're listening to this and you don't think that that's the case, please comment below. I'd be really interested in your opinion. But for women, I know that when we connect to someone, it's like body, heart, soul, and mind. Like, we are completely connected to you. We give a piece of ourselves to you. We are giving you a piece of our heart and our soul that goes into the relationship. And so with smut, a lot of these books give the false perception that a woman can sleep around with multiple people and be fine and disassociate, essentially, not feeling that emotional pull. It's just something that she's casually doing. The reality is that that's not true for a lot of women. I would say the majority of women I know, that is not the case. Unless they are porn addicts themselves and they're addicted to that lust, maybe that's the compromise, maybe that's the difference. But for a woman who is seeking a monogamous relationship and fidelity, I can tell you right now that when she is connecting with her partner intimately, she's giving a piece of herself away. And these smut books create this false ideology that a woman can sleep around and it not bother her if the man doesn't choose her, walks away, or she decides to walk away. I'm going to do a little bit of a full disclosure here and be vulnerable with you all. But when I had my betrayal trauma, I wanted to be desirable. I felt so devastated after the betrayal, and my self-worth plummeted. I thought I was this beautiful woman. I thought my husband loved me. I thought our love life was amazing. I thought I lived the perfect marriage. And so when this all was exposed, and it was a lot to unpack, there was infidelity, there was the porn addictions, there was the lying, it had gone on for several years right under my nose, and I knew nothing about it. So my self-worth just completely depleted and hit rock bottom. And I did start reading some smut books during that time. And while reading them, I began to just discern that it wasn't a good thing for me to be reading, because I was in the process of marriage counseling. We were doing well. My husband was doing the work. And my counselor had said to me, Eileen, if you really want this to work out, you have to give this relationship 100%. And I was like, well, can I do 50? Can I do like 5%? Just like, let's see what happens. And she's like, no, like, both of you have to give this 100% if you're going to make this work. This is a marriage crisis situation. You both have to commit to this. And the smut books were making me seek to be desired by other men. I wanted this insecurity that I had, where if I went out in public, I wanted other men to be looking at me and essentially lusting after me, because that's what these books are doing. They create this illusion that the men love you and they want you and they desire you, but essentially it's just lust. And so I would go out in public and just be looking around and just like, is anybody looking at me? Does anybody find me attractive? Because I had this horrible void in me after being betrayed. and I wanted that filled. I wanted to know I was desirable. And I realized that the smut books were doing that to me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to put these down. I'm not going to read these anymore, because my counselor's right. If I really want to give this relationship 100%, and I see he's doing the work, I see that he's trying to rebuild the intimacy, I see that he's really putting the work and effort into this, I need to do the same. And I need to find this fulfillment that I'm looking for from my husband. And so that was a really hard thing for me to do, because there was that pull with it. But yeah, if you're trying to make a relationship work, I mean, that was my personal choice. Again, I think that's something that should be agreed between the couple. I don't think necessarily it's a right or wrong thing for a couple to agree, like that the woman can read smut. But if you're able to discern, like, hey, this isn't okay, I'm disassociating from my partner, I'm not connecting with him on an intimate level, I'm seeking that fulfillment outside of the relationship, then that's probably some red flags and some things that you should talk about, and decide for yourself if it's something that you should continue. Again, I'm just going to reiterate that corn and smut are not the same things necessarily, because smut is not abusing the man and corn is definitely abusing the woman, and it gets more and more vulgar, as we know, and eventually crouches on the edge of pedophilia. So I don't think that they're the same thing.